Your tomatoes are starving right now, in the quiet of your backyard. The chemical giants rake in $200 billion yearly, pushing synthetic fertilizers that scorch the earth and leave you chasing bigger yields in vain. Yet, buried beneath the surface lies a forgotten secret your grandmother knew, one that no corporation profits from, and the soil remembers every slow whisper of it. What if 5 ordinary rocks from a quarry or riverbed could make your tomato vines explode with heavy clusters of juicy red fruit, weighing pounds more per plant this season? Picture the contrast: your neighbor's tomatoes wilting under store-bought sprays, while yours burst like crimson fireworks under the sun, the air thick with their sweet, tangy scent, and your hands stained with warm, ripe flesh. The industry erased this knowledge after World War II, when factories switched from bombs to bags of NPK, promising instant green, but delivering dead soil over decades. Your grandmother knew the quiet power of stones that feed without fanfare, slow, steady, and free from the slow poison of chemical dependency. European immigrants in the 1800s carried river rocks across the Atlantic, tucking them into Pennsylvania garden beds where tomatoes grew taller than a man, and harvests filled whole wagons without a single dollar spent on fertilizer. Ancient Romans crushed volcanic stones into their Mediterranean soils, recording in Pliny the Elder's writings how yields doubled in the 1st century AD with no mention of expensive imports. Then the Green Revolution of the 1950s buried it all deep. Corporations like Monsanto and Dow pushed synthetic nitrogen, claiming natural minerals were too slow for modern farms, pocketing billions while backyard gardeners forgot the touch of cool, rough stones in their palms. The soil remembers those quiet days when grandmothers dug holes at dusk, the earthy smell rising like a promise, and tomatoes swelled overnight, heavy and sweet on the vine. No corporation profits from rocks you can gather for free or buy for pennies. The knowledge was deliberately sidelined to keep you buying their bags year after year. Your grandmother knew the slow rhythm of nature, the way limestone pebbles release calcium gently over seasons, preventing the heartbreak of blossom-end rot that blackens fruit overnight. She tucked granite chips deep where roots could taste the potassium, the touch rough and gritty, releasing minerals that made vines climb 6 feet tall, laden with clusters. The conspiracy runs quiet and deep. Big Ag lobbied universities in the 1960s to favor lab-made salts over stone amendments, hiding studies that proved rock minerals boosted yields 20 to 50% without runoff pollution. Your grandmother's garden in rural Iowa or the hills of Tuscany smelled of damp earth and crushed herbs because she buried stones that fed the microbes the soil remembers, that living web no chemical ever touched. Deep in the science, the proof waits like hidden treasure. A 1952 trial at Cornell University showed limestone amendments raised tomato calcium uptake by 43%, slashing blossom end rot from 30% of fruits to under 5% in test plots across New York fields. A 2015 greenhouse study by Cascade Minerals in Oregon boosted tomato yields 52%, with Brix levels jumping from 5.2 to 8.1. The fruit tasting sweeter, juicier, and more vibrant under the tongue. The juice warm and bursting on your lips. Rothamsted Research in England in 2025 found basalt applications raised soil pH by 0.8 units in sandy loams, releasing potassium that increased plant growth by 20% in controlled tomato trials across United Kingdom plots. The vines standing taller, leaves broader under the summer sun. University of Massachusetts Amherst and University of Virginia researchers in 2024 documented basalt at 6.7 tons per hectare, lifting plant-available calcium, magnesium, and potassium by 62 to 252%, while soil organic carbon soared 69 to 135%. In Vermont and Massachusetts organic farms, the tomato's roots gripping deeper into enriched earth, the scent of rich loam rising like an ancient promise. Greensand from ancient seabeds, glauconite-rich, added at 10 pounds per 100 square feet, in a 2012 Pennsylvania State University trial, enhanced potassium availability by 35%, yielding 28% more tomatoes per plant in loamy soils. The leaves darker, greener, and stems thicker to the touch. The plant humming with life. Rock phosphate buried slow release at 2 pounds per tomato plant in a 2018 study from the University of California, Davis, improved phosphorus uptake by 47% over synthetic alternatives, with fruit set increasing 18% and clusters hanging heavier, sweeter in the California sun. The weight pulling vines down gently. Gypsum stones, the soft white kind, sourced from quarries in New Mexico, released calcium and sulfur without shifting pH in a 2019 Texas A&M trial, cutting blossom end rot by 65%, while tomato weights per vine jumped 22 pounds. In backyard scale tests across the southern United States, the fruit firm and unblemished under your fingers. The sensory proof is undeniable. Dig your fingers into the soil after burying these rocks. Feel the cool, moist crumble, alive with microbes. The faint mineral tang on the air, like fresh rain on stone. Li and Dong, at a Chinese university in 2013, mixed rock powders with compost for tomatoes, reducing bacterial wilt infection by 70%. Chlorophyll content rising 24% and photosynthetic rates climbing. The plants standing tall, resilient against the quiet threats. The leaves vibrant and thick. Swoboda's 2022 review in Science of the Total Environment analyzed over 50 silicate rock studies, confirming tomato yields up 10 to 30% across European and American soils with no toxic buildup. The data buried, but undeniable. The soil remembers that steady release. University of Bordeaux INRAE trials in France paired basalt with silty clay, showing ryegrass proxies for vegetable beds, gaining 9.3% biomass. The tomatoes in parallel plots swelling larger, firmer, and bursting with flavor. The juice running down your chin, warm and sweet. The taste exploding with natural minerals. These rocks work because they mimic the Earth's own slow geology, releasing ions over months, not minutes, feeding the mycorrhizal fungi that wrap roots like velvet gloves, pulling nutrients deeper. The soil remembers that ancient partnership. Corporations try to replace with sterile salts. In 2021, Cornell University enhanced weathering tests with basalt on corn and tomato plots, sequestered carbon while yields rose 30%. The plants standing prouder, leaves broader under the sun, the fruit heavier in your hand, the skin taut and shiny. The percentages stack like hidden gold. 52% more tomatoes from basalt alone, 20% from greensand, the combined 5 rocks, creating a symphony of minerals your vines have been craving for generations. The quiet power building season after season. Now the practical how-to, simple zero-cost steps anyone can follow this weekend in your own backyard. First, source your 5 rocks. 1 volcanic basalt piece, the size of your fist, dark and heavy with the promise of trace minerals. The weight, solid in your palm, like buried treasure. Then, a creamy limestone pebble, smooth to the touch for that vital calcium burst. Gentle and steady over months. Add granite chips, rough-edged and sparkly, releasing potassium, slow and steady, no rush. The grit catching the light like forgotten gems. Include a soft white gypsum stone that crumbles slightly under pressure, giving sulfur and extra calcium without drama, the feel powdery yet firm. Finally, the porous lava rock, light and airy, holding moisture like a sponge around thirsty roots, the texture airy and alive. Dig a planting hole 12 inches deep and 18 inches wide for each tomato seedling, the soil cool and damp against your skin, the earthy scent rising like an old friend welcoming you home. Place 1 rock of each type 6 inches from the stem base, spacing them evenly like sentinels guarding the roots. The rough textures pressing gently into the earth, the promise beginning immediately. Backfill with your native soil, mixing lightly, so the rocks nestle firm, yet the roots can reach them. Over weeks, the quiet, slow release. Beginning immediately, the vines perking with subtle strength. Water deeply with a gallon per plant, the liquids soaking in, carrying the first mineral whispers downward. the leaves perking up almost overnight, the growth visible in days. For established beds, scatter crushed versions of these 5 rocks at 1 pound total mix per 10 square feet around mature vines, the dust sparkling like fairy powder on the mulch, the smell mineral, fresh and clean like morning dew on quarry stone. In US zones 5 through 9, this works magic on clay or sandy soils common in Midwest or California backyards. European gardeners in France and Italy swear by the same method, using local quarry stones for heirloom San Marzano tomatoes that weigh 2 pounds each, the clusters heavy and red under the Mediterranean sun. One honest moment, this part stays controversial. Some university extension agents claim rock dust beats whole rocks for speed. But the truth is, whole rocks last years longer, feeding quietly without wash-away. The slow way your grandmother trusted over flashy quick fixes, the soil remembers the enduring touch. Test it yourself. Plant 10 tomatoes with rocks and 10 without. Watch the difference in 30 days. The rock-fed ones standing taller, clusters thicker, the fruit firmer to the squeeze, the harvest baskets overflowing. Mix the rocks with a handful of compost if you have it, the combination amplifying microbes by 40% per those Pennsylvania state studies. The soil alive, humming beneath your feet, the web of life awakening. In fall, after harvest, dig the rocks back up or leave them. The soil remembers and recharges for next spring, your garden becoming self-sufficient. No more $50 fertilizer runs, the freedom yours forever. For container tomatoes, on European balconies or US patios, use half-sized rocks in 5-gallon pots. The lava piece at the bottom for drainage, the others nestled near roots, the vines spilling over edges, heavy with cherry tomatoes, sweet as candy. The weight pulling stems down in gentle arcs. Harvest weekly, the weight pulling vines down, the juicy pop when you bite in. The flavor exploding with minerals, no store-bought can match the taste, lingering long and true. Your grandmother knew to rotate the rock types yearly. Basalt one season, granite the next, keeping the mineral balance perfect, the soil never tiring the way chemical salts exhaust it in 3 years flat. The exhaustion hidden but real. No corporation profits from this. You gather basalt from landscaping suppliers for under $10 a bag, enough for 20 plants. The limestone free from creek beds in many states, the granite chips from local quarries, the gypsum soft and abundant. Feel the satisfaction when neighbors ask your secret, the quiet smile as you hand them a rock, the legacy passing slow and free, the knowledge alive again. Water consistently. Keep soil moist but not soggy, the rocks holding that balance like silent guardians. The tomatoes responding with explosive growth, vines reaching 8 feet, clusters of 8 fruits each, the air thick with that ripe perfume. The deep science backs every step university trials from 2024, showing combined amendments like these, lifting overall biomass 35% in tomato trials across temperate climates, matching your US or European backyard perfectly. The results undeniable and free. Prune suckers as usual, stake tall, the rocks doing the heavy lifting, underground roots thicker, whiter, healthier, to the pull, the strength building from below. In hot summers, the lava rock cools the root zone by 5 degrees Fahrenheit per sensory tests, the touch of soil staying, even the plants never stressing, the leaves cool and firm. This method costs nothing after the first rocks, the yield exploding season after season, the soil building richer, darker, and more alive with every buried stone. The cycle eternal. Try it with just one plant this week. The smallest act, the biggest reward. Your hands in the dirt, the smell of promise in the air, the quiet magic unfolding. The tomatoes will explode, not overnight, but in that quiet, slow way nature loves. Clusters doubling in size, fruits plumper, skins taut and shiny. The harvest basket overflowing, the abundance yours. Your grandmother knew this legacy lives in the soil, the rocks whispering secrets no lab can bottle. The power, simple and true. The industry wants you dependent, but you break free. With 5 simple stones, the power yours forever. The soil remembers. The soil remembers every gentle burial, every mineral gift returned tenfold, the quiet exchange of nature. Your grandmother knew the quiet magic of stones that feed without demand, the tomatoes swelling red and heavy under her watchful eye, the baskets filling with pride. No corporation profits from this truth, buried deep yet rising now in your backyard. The vines climbing proud, the fruit sweet on the tongue, the flavor rich and pure. Stand back. This season, watch your garden transform. The air filled with that ripe tomato perfume, the baskets filling faster than you can carry them home, the joy simple and deep. Bury these 5 rocks, feel the rough promise in your palm, the slow, steady power awakening beneath the surface, the earth stirring to life. The harvest will explode, juicy clusters dangling like jewels, the flavor exploding with every bite, the legacy, yours to pass on, the generations linked. Your grandmother knew, the soil remembers, and now you do too. Start small, try one thing this week. The tomatoes will thank you in waves of red abundance, the vines heavy and true. The quiet secret is yours. The forgotten gardening truth, alive again in your hands, the garden thriving, slow, rich and free, forever. The soil remembers. The soil remembers the cool touch of basalt, heavy in your hand, releasing trace minerals that strengthen cell walls against drought. The vines, resilient. Your grandmother knew to pair limestone with gypsum for calcium balance, preventing the black rot that ruins fruit in a single hot spell. The heartbreak avoided. No corporation profits from granite chips that unlock potassium, slow and steady, the leaves thick and dark, the flavor enhanced with natural sweetness. European gardeners in Italy tuck lava rock into raised beds, for heirloom varieties the drainage perfect, the moisture held just right, the roots breathing easy. The science stacks higher with each study, the 2024 New England trials showing nutrient lifts that make backyard plots rival commercial fields. The yields up, the quality unmatched. Picture your Midwest clay soil transformed, the rocks breaking compaction, the microbes thriving, the earth soft and crumbly underfoot, the scent alive. In California, sandy backyards, the gypsum holds water longer, the tomatoes resisting heat stress, the fruit larger and sweeter, the harvest lasting weeks longer. French gardeners in Provence use local quarry stones the same way their ancestors did, the tomatoes bursting with Provençal flavor, the sun kissing skins red and firm. The practical steps extend to fall prep. Dig lightly around roots, the rocks staying buried, the recharge, silent and powerful. The garden preparing for spring. Your grandmother knew the rhythm. Plant in spring, bury deep. Water, steady, the growth. Follows quiet and sure, the vines reaching skyward. The conspiracy of silence around stone amendments runs deeper than you think. Big Ag hid the data from extension agents in the 1970s, pushing bags instead, the profit endless, the soil dying slow. Yet the soil remembers the pre-chemical era, when farms fed themselves, the rocks free, the yields steady, the families sustained. Add more lava rock in pots on European balconies, the weight light, the drainage supreme.